So hi everyone, this is Leah from grade 12 E8, and for today we will be talking about the digestive system. So digestive system is one of the most complex system in our body, as it consists of 10 organs covering 9 meters and comprising more than 20 different cell types. And its parts are continuously working together to fulfill a specific task of converting the raw materials of food that keeps us alive. So there are 6 major steps of digestion, and these are the ingestion, the propulsion, the mechanical or the physical digestion, the mechanical digestion, we have the absorption, and lastly the defecation. So for the first major step is ingestion, and ingestion meals are generally taken from the mouth. So pwede siya into mechanical and chemical digestion. So like first is the mechanical is like ang pag-chew mo sa food. Then chemical is katong with laway na siya. So the second major step of digestion is propulsion. So propulsion means moving food into the food channel, including voluntary swallowing and peristalsis, which is involuntary. So the next is mechanical or the physical digestion. So physically prepares food for chemical digestion by enzymes like chewing mixture of food with saliva, by stomach churning food, and segmentation. So the next one is the chemical digestion. So it is a series of catabolic steps in complex food molecules are broken down into their chemical building blocks by enzymes secreted by specific glands into the lumen of the food channel. Enzymatic breakdown of foodstuffs that starts in the mouth and finishes in the small intestine. So the fifth one is the absorption. So it is the flow of digested end products into the blood or leaf vitamins, nutrients, and water from the lumen of the gastrointestinal tract. The absorption of the first substances to reach the muscle cells via the active transportation mechanism of the small intestine is the key site of absorption. The last major step of digestion is the defecation. So defecation means the elimination of indigestible substances from the body in the form of stool or feces through the anus. So muna itong gitawag like the call of nature. So like what is coprophagia? So coprophagia, so it means consumption of feces, or like which means to eat. So mali siya ang mga animals na or like mga species nga mukhaon og ilahang feces or sa laing na feces, like example kani siya langaw, and the dogs, diba, mukhaon sa sila mga feces. So that is coprophagia. So what is calorie? So calorie from the Latin word calor, which means heat, and it is also used to describe as the energy producing potential of food. So there are 4 different types of cells, and these are the parietal cells, the chief cells, the enteroendocrine cells, and the G cells. So first is the parietal cell, and the parietal cell produces gastric acid or the hydrochloric acid, and the hydrochloric acid which makes the inside of our stomach very acidic, so muna siya makahelp o digest sa mga proteins. So the next one is the chief cell. So the chief cell secrete digestive enzymes, which divide the proteins into smaller pieces of food. So, kanya siya mo produce siya og pepsogen. So, kanang pepsogen, di ba? Ano siya? The combination of the pepsin and the hydrochloric acid. So, the next one is the enteroendocrine cells. So, enteroendocrine cells is specialized cells with endocrine activity in the gastrointestinal tract and the pancreas. So they produce serotonin and histamine. So they are responsible for releasing more acids and the contraction of some muscle tissues. Lastly is the G cells. So the G cells is the most important hormones that stimulate the gastric activity, and it is also responsible for the stomach activity. So once mo decrease ang iyahang secretion of gastrin, so mo decrease ang iyang stomach activity. So there are 3 phases of stomach regulation, and these are the cephalic, gastric, and the intestinal phase. So the first one is the cephalic phase. So the cephalic phase is a process of gastric secretion occurs because of natural signals before food reaches the stomach. So manang time nga like simhot ka sa food, and then like so there. Then the next one is the gastric phase. The gastric phase is a time during which swallowed foods stimulate stomach function, and the second step of digestion followed by mastication or chewing and occurring in the stomach. So gastric process is a time of triggering gastric activity in swallowed food and semi-digested protein. So there. And lastly is the intestinal phase. So the intestinal phase process occurs as a reaction to the arriving chyme in duodenum, and it regulates gastric activity through hormones and nervous reflexes. So we have here the chemical and the mechanical digestion. So differentiate the two. So the chemical digestion refers to the process by which compounds with a high molecular weight in the food are broken down into small substances that can be absorbed by the body. And this one refers to the breakdown of food into digestible particles mainly by teeth. So using by teeth. So this one occurs from the mouth to the stomach, and this one occurs from the mouth to the intestine. So a major part of mechanical digestion occurs in the mouth, and the major part of chemical digestion occurs in the stomach. So this one is driven by teeth, and this one is driven by the enzymes. So we have here the 4 layers. We have the mucosa, the submucosa, the muscularis externa, and the serosa. So first one is the mucosa. So mucosa, it is the innermost layer of gastrointestinal tract, and these consist of 3 layers: the epithelium, lamina propria, and the muscularis mucosae. And then the next one is the submucosa. Submucosa, the absorbed elements which pass through the mucosa are collected from the submucosa's blood vessels. And the submucosa is the layer of thick, irregular connective tissue or loose connective tissue that supports the mucosa. And the next one is the muscularis externa. It is an area of a muscle adjacent to the submucosa membrane and in several organs of vertebrate body. It is responsible for such movement as peristalsis in the intestine. And the muscularis or muscularis externa consists of the inner circular layer of muscle and an outer longitudinal layer of the muscle. So there, and lastly is the serosa. Serosa, it consists of a secretory epithelial layer and a thin layer of connective tissue which reduces muscle friction. And this one, the serosa, is the outermost layer. So briefly explain the pathway of food from the first to last step of digestion. So, for instance, when a person eats a pizza, it starts at the mouth. So when you chew your food with your teeth and saliva, which is a mechanical digestion, the chunk of food is now called bolus. So after swallowing, it goes into your esophagus. So this the esophagus. In the esophagus, peristaltic waves begin at the upper portion of the tube and travel the whole length, pushing food ahead of the wave into the stomach. So here, the stomach, which performs peristalsis to push the bolus down to your stomach. So peristalsis is an involuntary movement of the longitudinal and circular muscles, primarily the digestive tract, but occasionally in other hollow tubes of the body that occurs in progressive wave-like contractions. So peristaltic waves occur in esophagus, stomach and the intestines. So when it reaches the stomach, muscular stomach walls break down the bolus into smaller chunks. So there, mugamay na siya. Hormones trigger the release of acids and enzyme from the stomach walls, dissolving the food, which is a chemical digestion. And hormones also alert the pancreas. Here the pancreas, the liver and gallbladder. So the liver and the gallbladder. So the three of this. To produce digestive juices and bile, which is a liquid that digests fat. So after 3 hours, inside the stomach, the substance is now called chyme or chyme. Then it goes to the small intestine. So here, the purple one, ito siya sa small intestine. The liver will now send bile to the gallbladder and secretes it into the duodenum, which is the first portion of the small intestine. Here, the fat is broken down into smaller chunks so it can be easily digested by the other digestive juices, which is a chemical digestion. So a chyme travels further down into small intestine and it is surrounded by villi, which helps to maximize molecular absorption into the bloodstream. Then leftover fiber, water, and dead cells make it into the large intestine. So this one, the blue one, ito na siya sa large intestine. The walls of the intestine drain out the remaining fluid, and what's left is a soft mass called stool or feces. Then muscles in the intestine squeezes the stool out into the rectum. So there, the rectum goes to the rectum, and then into the anus, which then exits the body. There.